Bible study from the amazing book of Genesis. Last time you'll recall, we have returned with Abraham and his tribe from Egypt to Bethel in Canaan. Now we skip forward to a time of international conflict and to the results of the peace which follow. Abraham and his nephew Lot had separated, and Lot had chosen to travel north where the land was lusher and the living easier, and he'd settled outside a town called Sodom. Abraham, meanwhile, has settled by the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron. 5 kings of little towns, including Sodom, tried to overthrow 4 kings and their armies. These 4 were led by King Chedorlaomer, who had come from where Abraham's father had started out from. They were the big guys. A big battle happens, and the 5 smaller kings lose. It really wasn't much of a contest, and as they escape, the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fall in the tar pits. Chedorlaomer and his pals then take everything they can, including kidnapping Lot, who's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Abraham hears about all this and contacts his neighbours, who he's in covenant with, a sort of NATO of the day, and leads them and 318 of his trained men, so think of how big the tribe of Abraham is at this point, on a rescue mission to save Lot and to put his kidnappers to flight. So what 5 kings couldn't do, Abraham accomplishes in what, so far as we know, is his first battle. Now we rejoin the story in Genesis chapter 14, beginning at verse 17. The king of Sodom went out to meet him after he got back from striking down Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him in the Sheda Valley, the King's Vale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God on high, and blessed him, saying, Blessed be Abram by God on high, Lord of the heavens and the earth, and God on high be blessed, who has delivered your attackers into your hand. He gave him 1/10 of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people, but take the property for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I raise my hand to Yahweh, God on high, Lord of the heavens and the earth. From a thread to a bootstrap, if I take anything that's yours, you will not say, I'm the one who made Abram wealthy. Not me. Only what the boys have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. They are to have their share. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Abram hears about what's going on with Lot and goes to the rescue. So the king of Sodom comes. He's not a nice man. His city is known for being a pretty evil place, and he comes to congratulate Abram, probably through gritted teeth and still wiping the tar off his face. After all, Abram had beaten some pretty serious opposition which 5 kings together couldn't manage. Abram has a heap of possessions he's recovered and a whole lot of people, including no doubt lots of people from Sodom. So the king of Sodom says, you can keep the plunder, you can keep all those goods, but I want my people back. Abram is having none of this, not because he wants everything, but because he wants nothing. Not an item from the property of Sodom, which would have been the best in luxury in its day. Abram just wants to fulfill his family obligations. He doesn't want to be obliged to the king of Sodom at all. He's promised God he will not make a profit. He just wants the expenses to reward his allies for their help. But there's a second person who arrives, and what an impressive figure he is. Melchizedek, king of Salem, who brings bread and wine. What do we know about him? Well, very little. His name means King of Righteousness. Quite a description. The name of his realm is Salem, which is the second half of Jerusalem, Jerusalem. And some writers think that that's what he was, King of Jerusalem. We can find out a little more if we look at Psalm 110, which was written to celebrate King David's conquest of Jerusalem in 1000 BC. You are a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. The other place we can look is chapter 7 of the letter to the Hebrews in the New Testament, which is all about Melchizedek and describes him as foreshadowing King Jesus as king and priest. So here in Genesis we have Melchizedek, both priest and king, who is priest of God Most High, coming to congratulate Abraham on his amazing victory over the four kings and his recovery of Lot and his family. Melchizedek brings bread and wine. And of course, as Christians, we prick up our ears, don't we? Are there echoes of the communion here? Well, wine is for celebration, so to that extent, yes. And this is therefore not just refreshment, however welcome, after the battle. Then Melchizedek receives a tenth of all that Abraham has taken in battle. Abraham clearly recognizes that this is the right thing to do in thanking God for all that he did in helping to achieve this victory. Many Christians have understood the same and give a tithe or a tenth of what they own to God, or indeed of any special windfalls or inheritances. It might be surprising to read that Melchizedek comes to bless Abraham. Surely he needed that blessing before he set out, not afterwards. But I guess there probably wasn't time before the battle, was there? We now have such a high priest who is seated at the right hand of the throne of the majesty in heaven, as the writer to the Hebrews puts it. So what does this passage from so long ago say to us today? We worship a generous God, and we need to be generous in our turn, not grasping things which are offered with invisible straps to tie to other people, like the offer of the king of Sodom. God should be our priority. We can so easily forget when God answers prayer that the answers come from him, and we forget to give him the glory. And of course, the principle of tithing is still alive and well. And we should always consider our own giving. Are we as generous to God as he is to us? More tomorrow from this wonderful book of Genesis with one of my